And happy Thursday. Hope you guys are having a great start to your day. It is 9:31 here in beautiful sunny Las Vegas. I actually have my blinds closed right now because it's a little bit of a glare, but it's a fabulous day. It's gorgeous. The weather's perfect. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just really nice and just clean and crisp. I love the fact that I don't have to deal with snow, not gonna lie. I grew up on the East Coast, and I have to say that I do not miss that beautiful white stuff, yes, because with that, it's beautiful when it first, the first snowfall, and then it starts to get a little bit ugly looking because of, the cars and everything. It gets slushy and dirty and brown. And then, of course, with the gray weather. So I do not miss that weather. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not bringing anyone down with this. I'm just saying that I am, as my shirt says, okay with not living on the East Coast right now. I am really super happy to be where I'm at. It's essential. I don't know if you've seen the title. It's really, you do risk a lot if you don't learn how to manage your emotions. So we're going to get to that. But it's really essential for your emotional well-being to achieve self-awareness around how your emotions are. It's like how you are emotionally triggered, how you emotionally show up, so you can make better decisions on how you respond. So then the things that you say and you do when you're emotionally triggered based on how you're feeling, right? Because, and here's the thing, achieving self-awareness means really taking time to getting to know who you are, because that's really where it starts. It starts with you. So getting to know who you are, like what makes you as a person, like why you are emotionally showing up the way that you are. Being open to change, because change is inevitable, and embracing that pivoting may be part of the process. In fact, it's a part of the process that typically is often resisted along with change. Good morning, my name is Leslie Godet, and I'm an empowerment coach. I help my clients achieve self-awareness around their emotions so that they can handle their triggers, manage their emotions, and live a more positive life. So thank you so much for joining. So this week has been all about our emotions and our triggers. And yesterday I covered how can you take back control over your emotions, and is it even possible? And yes, it's possible. It's just all about whether or not you want to. And today I'm going to talk to you about what you risk if you don't learn to manage your emotions. But before I get started, I always like to make sure that if you are new to my lives, if you've not been catching them, I want to make sure that you understand what this is behind me. So this is the triggers chart. Okay, so it's trigger cycle. It's a cycle that's on repeat every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Ooh, scary, right? But yes, we're emotionally triggered multiple times a day. It's just life. Things happen. Some of you on here, I know, are moms, so you have kids. They trigger you, right? You're emotionally triggered by things that they do. So absolutely, it can be on repeat for you many times a day. So some triggers could be simple things like, not simple, but could be things such as an anniversary date of loss or trauma, scary news event. It could be family friction, isolation, financial problems. Maybe you feel you've been, as you grew up, you were teased, judged, criticized, teased, or put down. There's just a whole slew of different triggers, but typically those are some of the triggers. And what they do is they evoke an emotion, like how you feel. Real quick, when this happens, of course, of growing up, that's an internal memory, it's an internal stimuli. So that is where you've had an experience growing up, you had something happen, a feeling was evoked, that emotion, that feeling, you attached to that experience, that event became memory, you filed it away into your filing cabinet. So those are internal stimuli, and then some external stimuli are things like people in your life, current people in your life, experiences. Something happens today that's not necessarily relevant to what happened when you were growing up, but it could be triggering an emotion from an experience that you've had growing up. So those two can feed off of each other. So triggers evoke an emotion. The emotions, the things that we're feeling, will then drive our response, meaning the things that we say and we do. Typically those are, it's one of two things, positive or negative. So if it's positive and you're the person who's got a handle on your emotions, you got a handle on your emotions, you understand that you're being triggered, you understand your triggers, you're understanding that there's external things that can trigger a trigger. Yes, there are triggers to triggers, as I just said. And so because you have that happening, you understand all of that, you understand typically how you've typically shown up in the past, emotionally, how in the things that you said and you've done, it's usually, and it has taken you down that one road that you don't want to go down, you've learned to make better decisions. So that's the positive. The negative is you are allowing your emotions to be the ones managing you, meaning you show up the way you do. In the moment, it's typically negative. You said something or done something to hurt someone. Someone's gotten in the way. It's typically those that are closest to us that get the brunt of that. And then what you end up having to do is having to go back once you've cooled off, thought about it, realize, okay, I've done and said something that I shouldn't have, and you've got to go back and try to mend that relationship by apologizing, right? So that is, in a nutshell, what this cycle is all about, that we, as I said, we navigate on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. So with that being said, what do you risk if you don't learn how to manage your emotions? You risk much, and let me tell you why. You know how you have a circle of people who've got vested interest in keeping a great emotional connection with you? They're your family members and your close friends, right? And when you're emotionally triggered, it's usually those closest to you that I just said, those closest to you that end up being in the crosshairs of that emotional outburst and, in the things that you say and you do. And when you've had time to cool down, because, over time we cool down, and then you've had time to think about it, what you've said or done, you typically have had to go back to these people who are close to you and mend what you've said or done by simply apologizing. But what if it's a professional relationship? You say, yes, a professional relationship. People you work with and then you're emotionally triggered and you show up, however that may be, when you're emotionally triggered and it's negative, for example. And so these people may give you a pass once or twice when you go back to do cleanup in aisle 4, damage control. However, as I said, a pass once or twice may be all that you get. If your normal MO keeps showing up, the negative side of that, you may not get another chance to fix things. And your professional relationships could be damaged. Why? The people that you work with don't have that emotional connection to you outside of the office. Well, unless, of course, you've become close friends. But typically, they don't have that emotional connection, that emotional investment in you. And so they don't have that emotional obligation to you and willing to put up with your emotional MO, your normal emotional MO, knowing that it's just you in the moment, feeling pressured, you didn't mean it, and can apologize for it later, and then all is well. No, they don't feel that obligation to allow that to keep happening. Now let's go a bit deeper with those people who do have a vested emotional interest in you. And even those relationships can be damaged if your normal MO is something that you feel is okay. You've just kind of let it go. This is me. Everyone knows it's me. They'll have to deal with it because you know that they'll forgive you if you behave badly. So now I'm going to give you an example of damaging a relationship if you don't start to take responsibility and learn to manage your emotions. For example, a romantic relationship. Your normal MO is to blurt out how you're feeling in the moment. You're in an argument. You know how you've started, and I'll just go back real quick. You know how you started like a conversation and it could be something really simple, something small, but it's irritating you, and it's really not that that's irritating you, but it's just being an irritant to you because there's a bigger problem. So it could be something like you might say to someone, why can't you put your dishes in the sink? Or why can't, the trash is right there. Why are you putting it right here on the counter when the trash is right there? It's like 2 feet away, right? But that becomes bigger. And so your normal MO is to blurt out how you're feeling without thinking. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're thinking, you let it out, what you're saying. And yes, words do matter, by the way. You end up holding on to past fights. This is something, ladies, I know that we've all been good at doing, even myself. And I've learned to understand that it's not a good thing. But these things that we hold on to that should have been resolved and released, we use that as arsenal. And this becomes a pattern, and ultimately you could break up over your normal emotional behavior because you're using stuff that should have already been dealt with and released. People say, oh, I've forgiven, but I've not forgotten. I don't know if I really agree with that, because what you end up doing is you're using that as arsenal against the next person, the next fight, the next altercation. It doesn't help you. It just holds you back. So that's just something for you to think about. Here's another example, okay? This is going to be like for a family member. A family member, say like a sibling, like a sister or brother, and you have a falling out over something said or done, and you don't speak to each other for years. I can relate to this one, and I'm going to tell you a real quick story. A brother of mine, 2 years younger than I, my husband and I, we lived with the family for about 7 weeks. And it was just when we were just transitioning back from Florida, back to Canada, into Toronto, and we had a falling out over something really dumb. And I allowed that to, I allowed myself to hold on to that. We didn't speak for 8 years. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you can relate, but I did not speak to him for 8 years. And I have 2 nephews with him. Now, I was so disappointed in myself for allowing myself to miss out on some years with my nephews because I was stubborn. I held on to that. My nephews were so young, and I missed a huge gap of them growing up those years. I can't get them back. Now, I'm grateful that I was able to mend the relationship, but some people don't get that chance. Some people hold on to grudges until it's too late to mend a relationship because guess what? That person's no longer around. They've passed on, and that's so sad. So when you ask yourself, what do I risk if I don't learn how to manage my emotions? You risk much because you could lose someone close to you because our words do matter. And over time, the relationship cannot be mended with a simple apology, or worse, you don't get the chance to apologize because they are no longer around. I don't want that for you. I am so glad and grateful that I woke up. I mended that relationship. I have 2 great nephews. They're doing amazing things, but imagine if I just allowed myself to still be down that path. It brings, I can feel it. I'm feeling this horribleness inside of me, knowing that I allowed that. I'm not allowing that to hold me back, but what I'm seeing is I'm disappointed that I allowed that for so long. Your actions today to ultimately say that you're ready to manage your emotions, it's the most important gift you could give yourself. Your actions, what you do, can sometimes speak louder than words, meaning you start taking responsibility and start learning to, and ultimately start managing your emotions when you're emotionally triggered, and you can make better decisions in the things that you say and do. And stop yourself from damaging your relationships, whether they're personal or professional. Look, your personal relationships, they're a little easier to mend because they have a vested emotional connection to you. Your professional relationships don't. So you'll get it past once or twice. But then if that's your normal MO to show up badly, you could damage those relationships beyond repair. And I don't want that for you. And that's why I became a coach. That's why I created my program specific to this, to teach you how to navigate this cycle. It's my 90 Days Accelerator program, Manage Your Emotions, Master Your Life, and it's now open for enrollment. If you're that person who's allowing your emotions to manage you and you've had enough of that being your normal MO, then this program is for you. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The main reason why people have so many issues around how they navigate their emotions is because of fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown, fear of not having control, fear of not being enough, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being capable, fear of being judged. It's one of the most powerful of our emotions. Our emotions are more powerful than our thoughts. Think about that. Our emotions are more powerful than our thoughts. Fear is so powerful, it can overtake even the strongest parts of our intelligence, meaning fear can make you a slave to your emotions, stopping you dead in your tracks, keeping you on that hamster wheel with no hope of getting off. And your inner villain, that inner self-talk that's negative, will stay in control, manage your emotions that are managing you, in essence, keeping you on that track of damaging your relationships. I don't know if you can feel the passion coming through, but I am really super passionate about this because I know what that's like. I said I wasted 8 years of my life allowing this piece here to manage me, and I was stubborn. I missed out on 8 years of my nephews' lives growing up. I know you're aware now that the end of a year is coming and the end of a decade. It's fast approaching. You have the chance to hit reset today and do what you didn't this past year or maybe the past 10 years if you truly want to. Do you want to repeat another year or worse, another 5 or 10 years with your emotions managing you, remaining your usual MO, possibly damaging relationships, whether they're personal or professional? having to go back and apologizing, hoping that that's going to fix things and you can hit reset. But that leaves you where? Barely in your present. You're not able to focus on what you're doing now, and most likely you're not even focusing on your future for what's next. Or are you ready to take back your power and manage your emotions so that you can master your life? If you are ready, then click on the link in the title notes and let's set up a call to see if you are a good fit for the program. I only want to work with you if you are a good fit for the program, because that means that you are ready. You're ready to take responsibility. I want to get you started on the right footing to start off your new year, this new decade that's happening, where you learn to manage your emotions so that you can master your life, meaning you start living your life with more clarity, more confidence, more commitment, with intention, with purpose, and of course, more happy, like you're more happy and you're content. Remember this, okay? Time waits for no one. So if you're on the fence about the rest of your life being what you want it to be, then now's the time to take back your power over your emotions so that you can realize your dreams. So click on the link and let's set up a call. I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you so much for coming on. Remember to navigate your day with an attitude of gratitude, because with the right attitude, it will put you in the right mindset for when life happens. And this does happen every day, people. You can't get out of it. You can't buy your way out of it. You can't talk your way out of it. No one else can go through it for you. It's going to happen sometimes multiple times a day. Those of you who are watching with kiddos, you know what I'm talking about. You know your kids can trigger those emotions. So if that's you and you're ready, then click on the link and let's get you started. So my name is Leslie Godet, and I'm an empowerment coach. I help my clients achieve self-awareness around their emotions. This piece right here, where it's what you can control, so they can handle the triggers, manage their emotions, and live a more positive life. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all tomorrow for my favorite day of the week, which is Recap Friday. Talk to you soon. Bye now.